Suni Lee may not have headlined these Olympics at the start, but the 18-year-old has always been a superstar.
It's Suni Lee who's in the top spot. She is going to win the Olympic all-around gold medal.
On Thursday, it was her chance, and she grabbed it. The spotlight and the headlines. A young who helped get her here, sharing in the glow of Olympic gold. The watch party couldn't fit in her family's Minnesota home, instead filling an auditorium. Most of them members of the Hmong community, an ethnic minority from Southeast Asia. Suni represents not just her country, but also her people.
I was really proud, knowing that she's someone from the Hmong community.
Minnesota, where Suni is from, is home to the largest Hmong community in the country of young gymnasts. The Twin City Twisters have a local hero, and now her dream has become theirs, too.
So I think she's inspiring Hmong girls, because we're all kind of like a family, to try gymnastics out and work hard and be like her.
Just love how she's already inspiring the next generation.
I know, how
and
cute
for
were
good
they?
reason.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to continue to talk about why Hmong people came to the US. In 1960, there were 4 military forces in Laos. They were the military force for the Kingdom of Laos, Hmong militia, North Vietnam Army, and the Pat Lao. The military force for the Kingdom of Laos was an ally of Hmong militia. Pat Lao was an ally of NVA. Both the military force for the Kingdom of Laos and the Pat Lao were weak. Hmong militia force was number 1 Laodian military force. Hmong people fought against the Chinese for several thousand years. Hmong people have the military tradition. Hmong people have a self-organization system. In First Indochina War, Hmong people fought against the NVA. They had the experience for modern war and cooperation with Western countries. They lived in the mountains. The hunting for animals is the common job for Hmong people. In Second Indochina War, 1960 to 1945, the main fighting in Laos was between NVA and the Hmong militia. Why must North Vietnam control Laos first? The new war began in 1960 in South Vietnam. North Vietnam broke the Geneva Agreement and sent troops into South Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. Viet Cong was a branch of North Vietnam Army. Viet Cong was NVA. At that time, the military force of South Vietnam could not enter North Vietnam. The land force of U.S. Army could not enter North Vietnam because U.S. and South Vietnam had to obey so-called Geneva Agreement and so-called the rules for the UN. Only the U.S. Air Force could secretly enter the airspace of North Vietnam and Laos to stop the advancing of NVA towards South Vietnam. During the war, Hmong people saved a lot of lives of pilots of American Air Force whose planes were shot down by NVA. The utmost target of North Vietnam was to occupy Saigon and the Mekong River Delta area. In order to conquer Saigon area, they wanted to build a special supply route from Hanoi to South Vietnam. This road started from Hanoi through Laos and Cambodia, reached the Mekong River Delta area. By this special road, the Communist bloc would transport soldiers, weapons, food, and so on to South Vietnam fighting areas. This road was called Ho Chi Minh Trail. Thousands of trucks which were supplied by Red China and the Soviet Union rode on the Ho Chi Minh Trail to South Vietnam. So, North Vietnam must control Laos first. In this map, the red arrow is Ho Chi Minh Trail. It started from Hanoi through Laos and Cambodia to South Vietnam. This special road passed through Hmong people's homeland. Hmong people were afraid of NVA and the Chinese. NVA had modern weapons supplied by Red China and the Soviet Union. Hmong people felt the Chinese aggressors come again. CIA got the news that a tribe in Laos was willing to fight against NVA. This tribe had fought against NVA in First Indochina War and cooperated with French colony authorities' army. In this case, CIA contacted Hmong people. CIA started to supply weapons to Hmong people. Hmong people was lack of weapons and food at that time. CIA hoped that Hmong people would cut off Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos, or at least make a mess for NVA in Laos. That was a secret war. Why must North Vietnam build Ho Chi Minh Trail? It was a geopolitical issue. Firstly, the DMZ area between North Vietnam and South Vietnam was very narrow, only 50 kilometers wide. It was impossible for North Vietnam to send a huge number of soldiers and weapons through the area. U.S. Air Force could threaten the area close to the DMZ. Secondly, Laos was a neutral country at that time. The forces of the U.S. and South Vietnam could not enter the land of Laos. But NVA did not care about the neutral countries. NVA could enter the neutral countries like Laos and Cambodia as they would like. Thirdly, the east boundary line between Laos and Vietnam is Central Vietnamese mountains. The boundary line is about 1,000 kilometers from north to south. It was safer for NVA to go through Lao Dien land. This land was vast and sparsely populated. It was very difficult for American Air Force to cut off Ho Chi Minh Trail totally. For American Army, the only hope to cut off Ho Chi Minh Trail depended on Hmong people. American politicians tolerated the communist movement. In World War II, American politicians thanked the Soviet Union for defeating Nazi Germany. We thought the tough fight of the Soviet Union It was impossible for the free world to defeat Nazi Germany. In order to defeat Nazi Germany, the US gave huge weapons and food support to the Soviet Union. Besides, American politicians like F.D. Roosevelt and his friends like W. Averell Harriman had sympathetic feeling towards the communist movement in Russia. And with the help of the US, the Soviet Union became a big monster who would swallow everything he can see. Almost 10 million soldiers of the Soviet Union were killed in the war against Nazi Germany. American politicians thought they owned the Soviet Union a lot. After the war, the American politician had a naive idea, which was to cooperate with the Soviet Union and the communist bloc to rule the world together. American politicians tolerated the communist bloc to swallow China and many Eastern European countries like Poland. In 1949, China became Red China. This was a very bad news for Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. Then Stalin started to attacked South Korea of the free world. Stalin's next target was Japan. The communist North Korea was going to swallow South Korea. American troops were dispatched to Korea to fight against North Korea army. In this map, you can see the US Navy can attack North Korea army from two sides of the peninsula from the sea. Korean War was almost the same as Vietnam War, but South Korea has a geopolitical advantage compared with South Vietnam and Laos. Korea is a peninsula. The narrowest width for Korea Peninsula is about 170 kilometers, which is close to 38 parallel. So there was no Ho Chi Minh Trail in Korean War. American aircraft carriers were able to defend South Korea from the sea. American Navy was able to take effective action in Korean War. In Korean War, American Army succeeded in stopping the advancing of the communist bloc. The next war field was Vietnam. It was very sad for South Vietnam and the Hmong people. South Vietnam and the Laos did not have the geopolitical advantage like South Korea, but the communist bloc had the geopolitical advantage in Vietnam and Laos. Red China and the Soviet Union had the ability to supply endless weapons and human resources to NVA. Hmong people had to take part in a hopeless fight against the communist bloc, so there was a brutal and long-time war between NVA and Hmong people in Laos.